People, hello, how are we? Hopefully we're all doing well. I'm Tom. It is the morning after the night before. What an event. It delivered. All of it delivered, from the fights to the week to the performances to the main event. It all delivered. Upsets, wider margin wins than what we perhaps thought. A live performance from Liam Gallagher. It delivered. Let's just jump straight into the main event. Well done to Dubois. Before I come up with anything else, before I start saying, oh, AJ this, AJ that, before I even say what Dubois did good and badly, well done to Dubois. I predicted AJ to win. I hold my hands up. I predicted against Dubois. It's actually the first time since losing to Usyk I've done that. I predicted Dubois to beat Miller, and I predicted Dubois to beat Hrgovic. I just thought AJ was a step too far. Clearly not. Clearly I was wrong. And like I say, before I start, because you do, right? Of course, you look at things and you go, well, maybe this. People have to take away from AJ's wins because Otto Varlin didn't really turn up to fight, and Hellenius is this, and I get that, and whatever. You do that, and you will do the same. I did it with Dubois against Miller and against Hrgovic. You do that. You always do. But before I do any of that, props to Dubois. That is the win of his career, no questions asked. Absolutely the win of his career. That possibly puts him in contention for Fighter of the Year, a win like that. That puts him right at the top seat of the table again, beating an AJ that most people are saying is in the form of his life. Beating him in that manner gives you a seat right at the top table with the likes of Fury and Usyk, the winner of that. Incredible. Especially with the controversy of the low blow against Usyk. That really does throw his name right back in the mix. I tip my hat to him, I hold my hands up, and I say, well done. That is phenomenal. I like Dubois. I always have. I said this in my prediction video. I really like Dubois. I do think he's great. I just thought AJ was a step too far, and I was wrong. And I'm happy for him. Well deserved. Well done. He didn't even lose a second in there. He walked AJ down from the very first bell, clipped him with a very good punch. I'll put a picture on screen now. Clipped AJ with a very, very good punch. Usyk said it in his interview after. When he was defending, he wouldn't have his hands up. Normally when you defend, you put your hands up, you step backwards. He didn't have to have his hands down, and he was leaning backwards, and it puts you off balance, it leaves your chin up in the air. You shouldn't do that. I don't know why AJ was doing that. Just to briefly say, AJ looked schoolboy in there. There were so many errors that typically AJ wouldn't make. It's like the occasion got to AJ more than Dubois, which no one saw happening. And yeah, he's leaning back, and Dubois clips him with a very good shot, and that was it. AJ got clipped, knocked him down, and after that, it was just a waiting game. I saw that happen and thought, yeah, it's a waiting game now. It was bound to happen, and obviously the knockout blow, AJ'd gone in for the uppercut, and Dubois clipped him and knocked him out. Yeah, so like I say, just to give Dubois his plaudits, to give him his flowers, absolutely praise him, and he deserves his praise. He looked incredible in there. He deserves the win. He's a great guy, and he looked incredible in there. He picked AJ apart. Absolutely picked him apart. The thing is, for me, AJ just didn't fight back. Like, I'm sat there watching this thinking, hang on a second. Are you going to fight back, or are you just going to let him have his way with you? Like, again, when you defend, and AJ's got good defense, you have your hands up. You have your hands up covering your face, and AJ didn't do that. And he wouldn't throw back either. And I'm thinking, was there something wrong? Did something happen in camp that maybe he hurt one of his hands and couldn't throw properly or defend properly because he's getting taking shots to the glove, and that's why he's wearing gloves all week, because he was wearing gloves all week, and maybe that's why. I'm not trying to make excuses, but you do just look at it and go, like I say, was he wearing gloves because he hurt his hand and took some damage to his hand, so he didn't have his hands up when defending? Because that's not AJ. AJ doesn't defend like that. And again, I'm not trying to detract from Dubois' win. I'm just saying AJ doesn't defend. He doesn't defend with his hands down, chin in the air. He's not that type of fighter. But for this time, for whatever reason, he's defending hands like that, leaning back, and he got clipped. And I'm thinking, is that why? And also, why wasn't he throwing back? AJ, a counterpuncher, wasn't throwing back. And the first time he did, in round 5, look what happened. I just think, yeah, I don't. Maybe Dubois' power just really was that good. Maybe he clipped AJ early when AJ was still warming up, still coming into the fight. So his hands were down, clipped him, and his power really was just that scary. So AJ got on his bike and ran away. I say ran away, he got clipped and hurt bad. But he just was not fighting back. You watch the Hrgovic fight and you say, if AJ lands any of them, he puts Dubois to sleep. But AJ didn't land any of them. He went 5 rounds and didn't throw anything. And I just don't get, he didn't fight back. I'm sitting there watching it. It was frustrating because it's like, obviously I was supporting AJ. I wanted AJ to win. One of them, like they're both British, right? But obviously I wanted AJ to win, and I'm thinking, why aren't you throwing anything? Why are your hands down and there's no guard and your chin's in the air? Like I say, Usyk, that's the very first thing Usyk said. It's not how you do it. Maybe it was just Dubois' power though. And like I say, the one time he did fight back, he just got put to sleep. In the 5th round, he landed a good right. It was good. It was good. It wasn't out of this world. It wasn't a right hand where Dubois looked particularly hurt. AJ landed a right hand and then jumped on him. And it looked to me like he did that more out of fear, more out of a necessity than it was wanting to do it. It looked like, I'm really hurt here, so I've got to take every chance I can get and just throw caution to the wind. Because he threw a good right hand, like slightly hurt Dubois, nothing crazy at all, not one you should be jumping on him for, and then went for the uppercut, got caught with the counter, and that was all she wrote. And like I said, that's not how AJ. That's not how AJ fights. You know what I mean? I've seen all of AJ's fights. That's not really how he fights. That was very out of character for him. So I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what his game plan was. Obviously, I don't know what his game plan was. But that was very out of character for him. And I don't know what he was thinking. Like, what were you thinking? But then, like I say, then again, maybe Dubois really was just that good, because everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the face, and that's exactly what happened last night. So maybe I'm not giving Dubois enough credit. And actually, AJ went in there, had his game plan, and Dubois just, no, you know what I mean? So what now in the Dubois era? In the Dubois era, what's next for him? Well, Parker deserves a shot. So Parker, I'm sure, would take that fight. Bakole or Zhang would be amazing shootouts. I think Bakole is better than Zhang. I also think Bakole deserves it more than Zhang. Again, they'd be great shootouts, potentially the winner if they fight. Fury, after Fury loses to Usyk again, I do think Fury loses to Usyk again, and it makes sense now that Dubois has beaten AJ. Dubois steps up, takes on Fury, and if he beats Fury after he loses to Usyk, that's the stepping stone up to Usyk and get the rematch. If Usyk's not retired, he's talking about going skiing resorts now. But there's a few options for him. Of course, there is going to be probably limited chatter about the rematch, but there's the rematch. And as for AJ, I'm devastated. I'll be honest with you, I'm absolutely devastated. Look, I like Dubois. He's a brilliant guy, great character, and look, he genuinely deserves this. He really does deserve this. But, and I say before how I think he's the best promoted fighter of modern times and all this, but he deserves what he's got. And I say I take nothing away from him, but AJ's my guy, man. You know what I mean? I've rooted for him for as long as I can remember. Since getting into boxing, I picked him to win this fight. But he's got, and I can sit here and say that his defense was awful, and he looked really bad, out of character bad. Some of the mistakes he was making were just, again, schoolboy. His defense was awful, and his hands were too low. But the fact of the matter is, Dubois went in there, and Dubois picked him apart. And when you look at it, you just got to admit it. And I think when you look at what AJ's done, like Dubois went in there and killed him, but what he's done for British boxing, boxing as a whole, and more specifically British heavyweight boxing, I don't think it can be understated. I really don't. It's put boxing massively on the map again. And I think, Dubois yesterday, let's be honest here, 98,000 people is what His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh said there was that many there. That was AJ, let's be honest. Dubois had a bit of a pull, of course he did, but that was AJ. And that's been AJ for a very long time. He split a stumbling block after he lost to Usyk, but I mean even the first fight, 60,000 in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that was AJ, and that's probably gonna go now. Even if he rematches Dubois and beats Dubois, he's gonna really struggle now, and that's gonna go. And you look at Fury. Fury's quite old now, probably gonna lose to Usyk again. Suddenly, I don't really see any other stars coming through. Maybe Moses Atuma in a few years, but I don't see any other top-level prospects coming through that can really generate that sort of pull. Maybe a Johnny Fisher, I don't know, but it's not got the same excitement around it that AJ did. And I think that's gone. I really think that's gone now. Even if AJ comes back, I don't think he's got another rebuild like he had now in him. I don't really see a way back for him. If I'm honest with you, like I said, I don't think he's got another rebuild in him. there was a rematch clause, so he could get the rematch, and unless he somehow miraculously KOs him in 1 or 2 rounds, which I'm hesitant to say won't happen, because that I think AJ can do that. I really do. I think if AJ goes in there and doesn't do what he did, he can do that. But after the way last night went, you got to go. Do you know what I mean? So unless he can do that in the rematch, which is extremely unlikely, especially after that, the mental sort of side, I think that's AJ at big time boxing done. That might even be AJ done, because how are you going to go from a 98,000 sold out Wembley Stadium to boxing, 20k there or thereabouts at 0-2? That's a drop off. I don't think he's going to want to do that. He's not going to want. AJ won't want to do that. I don't think he's got another rebuild in him. So if he can't get the rematch, that could be the end. Certainly, though, at the very least, that Fury fight's gone. It's dead. It's dead. At the very least, certainly gone. Especially if Fury loses to Usyk again. Not happening. And I've seen a couple of people going around saying that the Wilder fight makes more sense now. Don't take that piss. Like, I want to see fighters at their peak, not fighters that used to be good but now aren't even using any other attributes because Wilder's too scared to throw a right hand and AJ's defense is just gone missing. I don't want to see that. Do you know? Don't take a piss. Like that. It's like watching the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight. That's just what are we doing here? What are we doing? So for me, I think there really is only one option. I don't want to see AJ boxing on small time shows. Not small. You know what I mean though. Like I don't want to see that. Like the Wilder thing, just don't. So you got one option really. The rematch clause is in there. You take the rematch. Don't go fighting Fury or Usyk and anything like that. That's not. You take the rematch. And he needs to decide that. Obviously, this is just, this is the option. He needs to decide if he wants to take that rematch. If it was like the Ruiz loss, where there was obviously stuff going on behind the scenes, he was late walking out, etc., etc. There's more to that loss. So he knew, I go back in there, I win with ease. He needs to decide if it's like that, and he can go, right, I'll go in there, I'll just box him for 12 rounds, or I'll knock him out, or whatever it is, but I want the rematch. If not, then I think you hang up the gloves. But I think that's what he needs to decide. He needs to go, I know he said he wants to keep going, he's a warrior, but you need to just sleep on it. Sometimes you need to let things sink in. And he needs to decide if he can go in there, correct the loss, right the wrong, like he did with Ruiz. The difference being, with Ruiz, he didn't really look out on his feet. He didn't look really hurt. He looked like he got caught, messed his equilibrium up. Like I said, there was something going on behind the scenes, and that was it. This time he got genuinely hurt. And again, because he needs to go, my hands are too low, defense was bad, mess up the game plan, got caught early, I can fix that. Go in there and fix it, and then you rebuild, like slight rebuild, a bit of a stumble again, but fixable. If you're not going to do that, I think you retire. Thank you so much for watching, people. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know how YouTube works, people. Peace.